Welcome back, everyone, to the After Scales podcast, episode 58, presented by DJD Graphics. I'm Jacob Dove with Phenom Motorsports, along with Shaun Blight of Canadian Racing Tours. On today's episode, we have Austin Torgerson joining us out of Glendale, Arizona. Austin, thanks for joining us on tonight's podcast.
No problem. Thank you guys for having me.
So you're coming off busy past couple weeks. You ran the Tulsa Shootout and the Chili Bowl Nationals. One of the most grueling long weeks of racing indoors, but a spectacular event, great racing. Before we talk about your Chili Bowl efforts, talk to us about your Tulsa Shootout. You made one of the features, finished 13th in the non-wing feature. Just talk to us about that and, how it went.
It was actually Wing Outlaws the one I made it in, but yeah, it was pretty good. I went there with the whole B&B group. I've been working with them all last year, and we got connected about going to the shootout. And I mean, they're just great guys that have law knowledge or coming through the ranks with their chassis. I always feel good with them behind me and supporting me. So I felt pretty good. We struggled a little bit in A class stuff, but now got back home. We started talking. We kind of figured out what it was. So we're gonna be joining forces again to go to Steffi here in Adobe in about a couple weeks, I think, on the February 13th to the 14th. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and then I got to meet you during the Chili Bowl, hanging out with the Mont Stout guys. My buddy Jacob Dykstra was running there, representing Canada. Got to know you and Tyler Edwards a little bit. Great couple of guys. We're having a lot of laughs in the pits. Talk about your Chili Bowl experience and how that went.
Yeah, I mean, Chili Bowl is. I've been going there for a couple of years now, and I definitely getting more a hang of it. I mean, there's still stuff I have to learn and stuff like that, and definitely help. I think this year by getting a couple more seat time in the midget this year, and I mean, there's Jay and all of them having let me come drive for them, and all that is a great group of guys too.
Yeah, Austin, I wanted to ask you between the micro sprint and the midget, you see a lot of guys moving up from the micros into the midgets, or some go straight into the wing sprint car stuff. Talk about trying to battle both of those type of cars. 600cc engines with the micros, and you got the 4-cylinder midgets. Just kind of how the setup goes and how you feel out the car. Is there any differences that really stand out to you when you're racing both of them?
Yeah, I mean, like the non-wing micros, like you definitely have to drive them a lot differently than like the midgets, and like even my brother would agree that they're totally two different driving styles. Even like going with this, I race 360 sprint cars and 410s too. So like all three are three different driving styles. So it's like kind of hard going from one to the next almost every single weekend. But I think it makes you a better driver at the end of the day doing all three.
Jacob and I are both from the East Coast, so we're always curious when we talk to some guys from out west that we don't really see grow up and watch race. Talk to us about you mentioned your brother and he was at the Chili Bowl as well, driving for Keith Koontz. Talk about your family's involvement in racing, how you got started, and what your background is.
Yeah, so we started racing, or I've been racing for about 15 to 16 years now. We started in asphalt go-karts. So we did that for about, I want to say 8 to 9 years. And then my dad got us into dirt car racing. But like my dad used to race dirt a little bit here and there back in the day. But like my family mainly does monster truck stuff. Like my grandpa was the first one to put a monster truck in front of a live crowd. So it pretty much started all from there.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty cool coming from a family of motorsports individuals, and has that influenced really your racing career? Have you always wanted to be a dirt car driver now that your dad and has influenced you and your brother?
I don't think so. Like, I mean, my dad got us into racing, and Ashton has always been down to do it. And like, I was like always at first I'm a little timid, and I see Ashton do it, and that makes me want to do it. And then that's kind of just how it started. But then like, I don't know, I'm starting to get into like the more monster truck side of my dad's business. To start helping out with that, plus racing. So it's getting interesting right now.
Yeah, so I wanted to like hold the phones for a second here because you talk about your grandfather with monster trucks. I'm curious about that now. So I'm just quickly reading up. Like so he's still involved. Tell us more about the monster truck background side of things, and if that's something that you want to do at some point.
Yeah, so my grandpa was the very first one to put a monster truck in front of a live crowd. That's when he started doing the whole monster truck business, and then my dad took it over, and my dad's been doing that all his life now. And then now I want to take it over at some point, and that's what I want to do. I just think it's it's been in my family so long. I would like to keep it going.
So soon we're gonna see you out there competing against Gravedigger, huh?
Maybe. Ashton's been driving a monster truck here. He's drove it 3 or 4 times now. So my dad's talking about getting me back in a seat this year. So
That sounds like awesome, and I think that's a good merch design. Maybe having some dirt cars on there with the monster truck on it, kind of like how Turbo did with his Gravedigger theme. That'd be cool.
yeah.
But switching over to your open wheel stuff, and you and your brother are very competitive. I have to believe that you guys probably butt heads from time to time. But what's that like? Being able to go out and race against your sibling and have like a competitive nature against each other.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone says, I definitely race the hardest when I'm racing against him. Even he'll say that. Everyone around me says we race each other harder than we race everyone else. But like, I think it's good because like he talks to me about my driving. I talk to him about his driving. So we just learn off of each other.
So I noticed that during Chili Bowl when I saw you and your brother talking a lot. You're racing for different teams. Are you guys comparing notes? Like, even though you're not really, racing against each other because you're on different nights and you're racing for different teams, but are you guys still talking racing when that's the dynamic?
Oh yeah, like 100%. Like even like before my prelim night at Chili Bowl, I know Ashton had a lot of seat time in the midget this year. He's been doing good. He has 4 or 5 wins in the midget this year. So I told him, I talked to him before my prelim night. I said, hey, if you get a chance, can you just watch me and like tell me what I'm doing wrong or help me out? You've been having success. And he said, yeah. And so that's every time he came over, he would just give me pointers, what he thinks I'm doing wrong or what I should do better. So.
And your brother Ashton was with Keith Coon's Motorsports Group, but with the Mount Stout guys, you had a lot of teammates. Were you guys giving each other feedback as well? Obviously, Tyler Edwards was able to put it in the show on Saturday, which is really cool to see because we had him on our podcast as well. Or were you guys bouncing off each other's notebooks and trying to do the best to get as many Mount Stout cars in the show?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of us that talk to each other. It's just hard when we all go on different nights. So it's like the track's always different. And like I was also trying to help Ashton on Ashton's prelim night. So like it was hard going from one to the other. But yeah, we all talked and helped each other out through the week.
Yeah, and it was really cool to see. I quickly went to the pits after Tyler made the show, and you saw all the drivers from Mont Stout kind of did the same thing. Everyone kind of rushed over there to congratulate him. It was a really cool scene of everyone kind of coming together. Especially everyone knows how hard Tyler works at it and how much that event means to him. So that was really cool. Austin, talk about your 2025 coming up. What you're doing now. And what your plans are for the rest of the year.
Yeah, so we have no set schedule yet, but we started talking about it today. We're gonna do, I think, the whole Placerville Point Series, start that off, and then we're definitely gonna hit some big micro races like the KKM, Deming, the Gopian, some big micro stuff, and then I think I'm gonna start. I'll do some midget stuff on the West Coast, and then maybe some 410 stuff at the end of the year when they come to the West Coast. And then I think I'm going to start helping with the monster truck stuff because my dad wants to send some monster trucks to the West Coast, so they'll stay at my place at the West Coast. So I'll help out with all that too.
And I think with those plans coming up for you, Austin, it's hard to believe that being out on the West Coast, how competitive you guys are with the drivers that are coming out of California, Arizona, New Mexico. They're kind of sleepers because when you think of micro sprint racing, you think of up in Pennsylvania, or you think of midgets, you think of Indiana. Sprint car guys are a lot of Pennsylvania posse, but the West Coast guys have gotten a lot of more respect, I feel like. Talk about that and the whole scene, the guys that you've raced against out on the West Coast, because that's got to be pretty exciting to, have other guys making it big in racing.
Oh yeah, like with the sprint cars, like we'll show up to a weekly Placerville or wherever we go, and like there's probably 15 guys I can win on nightly basis. Like even like with the micros, they're just a weekly maybe Plaza Park show. There's probably 10 to 15 guys that can win there too. So it's there's always about 10 guys that can win anywhere you go in California.
And getting back to the Chili Bowl for a second, with so much going on, like, you know, you're only racing one night other than Saturday. Were there any nights in particular that you were looking forward to, like just to sit in the stands and watch? Any guys that kind of caught your eye that you're like, I really want to check this out?
I mean, I'd probably have to say my brother Ashton. I mean, it's seeing what he did this year in his first year behind the whole midget series, and had 5 wins. I was really excited to see what he could do at the Chili Bowl.
Well, Austin, we really appreciate your time joining us on today's episode. Before we let you go, we always do a DJD Gear rapid fire segment where we fire off 10 questions just to get to know you better. Just come up with the first answer, and whenever you're ready, I'll fire them off to you.
All right.
So for the first question we have is why the number 88?
It was actually my uncle's and grandpa's number.
What is your favorite thing to do in Arizona?
I don't know, like probably hang out with my friends and family, and just hang out with everyone.
What's your favorite Arizona sports team to watch?
Probably the Phoenix Suns.
What's a racetrack that you want to race at that you haven't yet?
Maybe Volusia in a sprint car, maybe.
Good choice. I'm watching Volusia right now. Biggest pet peeve when you're racing against the other competition?
When people don't take responsibility for their own mistakes.
That's a good one. What's something that a lot of people might not know about you?
I don't know, I'm a big family guy, so.
What's your favorite song on your playlist right now?
I don't really have a favorite song. I have a favorite artist. It's probably Polo G. Listen to him a lot.
And who is your favorite child, or who is the favorite child in the Torgerson family?
I would definitely say Ashton.
Well, this one is important because who is faster, you or your brother Ashton?
I would say right now, probably Ashton, because I think he's faster because of how much I've helped him and taught him a lot.
There you go.
There you go. Good choice. And the last question we have for you, Austin, is probably the most important one of the night because who does your awesome hair?
I go to a salon down in Arizona.
That one didn't come from me.
Yeah, I think Shaun and I we've talked about your hairdo and how it stands out. So
yeah, I definitely love my hair. So
all right, man. We really appreciate you coming on. Had a blast hanging out with you guys at Chili Bowl. So glad you could take some time here on a Friday night. And good luck in 2025. And man, I can't wait to see you rip around one of those monster trucks and crush some cars. That'd be really cool.
yeah, thank you guys for having me.
After the Scales is proudly presented by DJD Graphics. From commercial and personal vehicles to racing bikes and cars of all makes, models, and disciplines, DJD Graphics can fully customize your vehicle to suit your needs. For more information, contact Darren and visit his website at www.djdgraphics.com. Tell him Shaun and Jacob sent you to receive special rates.
thanks again to Austin for joining us on today's podcast, and we wish him the best of luck in 2025. Before we let you go, we wanted to conclude today's episode talking about some late models. Currently, we have the Sunshine Nationals getting underway tonight at Volusia Speedway.
Finally.
Yeah, finally. After all the snow and rain and everything that Mother Nature threw at the state of Florida, we finally got some racing going on. I'll be there tomorrow night to watch Saturday night's live action from Volusia. So it's going to be cold, but I'm looking forward to it. 57 cars signed up for tonight, and there's 602s and 604s as well. So it's basically late model heaven at Volusia right now. Super excited for it. Shaun, you're going to be coming down on Wednesday to stay with me down here in Florida for Lucas Speedweeks. But before we talk about Lucas, we want to talk about the Outlaws. They're running their first event of the year. There's 20 guys signed up for the World Outlaws schedule. Who are some of your guys that you're going to look at to contend with Bobby Pierce if anybody's going to be able to compete with him?
Yeah, so the one thing that we do know for sure is that there will be a new champion this year, with Brandon Shepherd going back to the Lucas series. So Bobby Pierce would be the betting favorite. You wouldn't make any money if you picked him to win the championship. I don't see anyone really competing too much with him. Nick Hoffman obviously is going to probably be the toughest test, but a lot of good depth in the world of Outlaws this year. And a lot of guys, I guess, waiting to see how Speed Weeks goes before they commit to one series or the other. I don't think I mentioned on our Christmas episode, but one of the kind of bold predictions that I was going to make, and I guess we'll have to see which series they commit to, but with Drake Troutman, I would look at him to win a few races this year. He looked really good in Charlotte in his own car and running that GR Smith 22. I would expect him to win a couple of races if he is, regardless really of what tour he's on. But if he's on the World of Outlaw tour, definitely I would look for him to win a couple of races this year. How about you?
Yeah, Troutman's definitely one to watch for. Kind of moving, he's still got his family involved, but kind of getting under the GR Smith umbrella will definitely be exciting to see. For myself, anybody who knows me personally knows I'm not the biggest Bobby Pierce fan. Anything that goes through him as far as getting into scuffles on the track, it's usually against one of my favorite drivers. So I don't want him to win the championship. I would love to see Nick Hoffman win it, but like we both said, it's going to be hard for somebody to beat Pierce and outpoint them. Last year he could have easily won the title if he didn't get at Volusia with the tire testing sample not going his way and getting that penalty. So it's definitely going to be exciting to see. But yeah, Pierce is probably going to be the definite favorite. I would love to see Hoffman get up there and beat him, but we're all realistic. But the most enticing thing to see really is what RTJ is going to do, because everybody that's come up to ask him, even at Chili Bowl, people were asking him if he's going to be on Lucas again. And he still says it's kind of up in the air, which is really interesting to see because he's always kind of been a Lucas Dirt guy and he just came off of the championship. But I feel like there's this kind of, mentality that he wants to beat Bobby Pierce. And what better way for him than to join the Outlaws and outpoint Pierce and win and get that solid #1 ranking in the world for late models. But, there's only like 7 guys committed to Lucas right now. And it's going to be more to come because Moran, Davenport, those guys haven't committed yet, but they're expected to.
Yeah, it's no disrespect to Nick Hoffman because I really like him as a driver. He's got a ton of talent. He just doesn't have a lot of experience in the late models. And it would be really cool if somebody like a Davenport or RTJ or Devin Moran or just one of those guys hopped on the World of Outlaw tour just to maybe give Bobby Pierce a really solid run for his money and maybe like just a really solid top 3. But yeah, I would expect most of those guys to stick with Lucas this year. And it's funny to hear you complain about how cold it is in Florida when you're talking to a Canadian. So boo-hoo to you. And well, I'm looking forward to heading down to Florida next week. Going to be doing some work with JCM and Spencer Hughes. So I'll be shooting for them for the Lucas Dirt Speedweeks. So can't wait to get some fender cars. I got my dose of the open wheel stuff indoors in Tulsa, and I'm going to see some fender cars now in Florida.
Oh yeah, get some fender in your life, Shaun. And I don't want to hear anything because usually it never snows in Florida, and we had snow, so everybody was going absolutely nuts down here. So, but should be exciting because the weather's looking good. Fingers crossed, Mother Nature will go away because every Speed Weeks there's usually a lot of weather delays and rainouts. So, fingers crossed that we have great nights of racing. And no knock to some of the other guys in the Outlaws as well, because there's guys like Ryan Gustin, Brian Shirley. Those guys are going to be hungry to get up there too. Kyle Brunson, who's fenders behind me, he finished 4th last year with only 1 win. So if you can have a consistent season running with the late models, you can finish up there in the points. It's not always about getting 10, 15, 20 wins like we see RTJ and Bobby Pierce getting over 30 wins. So it's definitely going to be exciting to see. I'm all for it. After this, going to go tune into Volusia and get excited for tomorrow's racing action.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see. I'm a big Ashton Winger guy. He always puts on a show. So I'm excited to be able to see that that we're going to see more of him in 2025 on a touring series with the late models. So that'll be pretty cool.
Definitely. And if there's any late model guys or crews or anybody in the dirt racing world that's watching this podcast, make sure to hit up Shaun, because he would love to do some photography. Definitely hit him up, because he's going to be shooting Spencer Hughes. And honestly, if you look at all of Shaun's photos, they're fire. They're fire emoji. So
Thanks, man.
definitely get Shaun. Contact him for any speed weeks at Alltech and at Ocala Speedway. So we appreciate everybody for watching today's episode with Austin. We really appreciate everybody's support. We'll see you guys in the next one.